Cycling in the Philippines for the longest time has only been considered as a hobby. Most use it as a cost efficient way to travel around the various tourist destinations in the metro and the provinces nearby, but it has shown its versatility in the recent years, being used as a main transport to and from work, being used as a way of alternative income. Specifically, the pandemic has shown that it is possible to adopt cycling as an efficient supplement to conventional travel due to the restrictions placed in public transport and the inaccessibility of most vehicles to the majority of Filipinos. Cycling has been a cheap alternative to be able to perform the same task, and some may even say more efficient compared to the car. According to SWS, there has been a marked increase in the usage of bicycles in essential tasks in the household. So aside from being a main transport to and from work, most use this to carry out simple chores such as buying groceries, paying bills, and such. In other scenarios, it has been used as a main source of income, being apps like Grab or Foodpanda cater to the usage of bicycles to deliver food and various materials. In 2022, more than 7.3 million, staggering increase from 1 million bicycles from 2021 has been purchased. And this is due to most households finding the versatility of bicycles and fitting it into their daily lives. Now, due to the pandemic, the bicycle and the bicycle's rise, there has been the following effects in the society. So, lower carbon emissions due to the lack of vehicles being ferried around in the metro. And due to this, it showed the resilience of productivity because despite the lack of public transport, most people are able to find alternative ways to be able to go to work, specifically the bicycle. Now we ask, why did most Filipinos choose the bicycle as the main form of transport during this time? First, accessibility. This is a cheap alternative, can be bought for as low as 6,000 pesos or even lower. There's a cheap maintenance, so the maintenance for the tires, the inner tubes, and the chains, and the various gears they might have is very cheap and very easy. The ease of use, there isn't many regulations on the use of bicycles in the Philippines, so the use of such would be not as hard compared to that of trying to be able to learn how to drive a car and registering to be a licensed driver. Lastly is the pandemic necessity, since the lack of public transport renders most Filipinos unable to travel to and from work. The bicycle has been a representative, or should I say, an alternative to that. What are the problems that the use of bicycles would solve? First is the increase in traffic. As technology improves and the prices of cheap cars continues to lower, more and more people are able to buy. This is evidenced in the 300 million increase of the vehicles around the Philippines since 2021. This means that there's increased congestion, so there's more traffic. More people are not able to go to their works on times, meaning that millions are lost in the degrade in productivity. Next is the inflation and rise of gas prices. The continuous rise of gas makes it difficult for people to maintain their cars, and the increase of the various goods due to inflation lower the priority of gasoline compared to others like food, water, and shelter. Why hasn't cycling been widely integrated as a major mode of transport? First is safety, recorded 2,397 total crashes in Metro Manila alone, 726 due to side swipes, and 348 due to rear end. So this happens in various scenarios, maybe at high speed, maybe in the crawling traffic around the metro. And this is all due to the lack of infrastructure. There's lack of protection in the bike lanes for the cyclists to be able to protect them from the moving vehicles. There also no enforcement to be able to remove obstructions and reprimand those that try to obstruct bike lanes. Next is the inconvenience. So most people already have put effort into going to their offices or their works using bikes. So problems in the mechanical side, like a flat tire, faulty bike chain, or the general bike maintenance, uh, would be detrimental to the effort they already put towards their work, and would rather pick a more carefree alternative. Next is the comfort. It is relatively safer to commute in public transport rather than riding a bike and being exposed to the elements and the risk of being trampled on by cars. And the commute would be more comfortable in the sense that people can stand or they can sit without really putting much effort into it and being able to rest to and from work. Last is the heat. Due to the rising temperatures in the Philippines, heat and heat strokes can be problems for most people. And due to the lack of agencies or officers that are provided for the protection of cyclists, this cannot be. This is hard to be avoidable in various scenarios. Are there any existing policies pertaining to cyclists? There are, but most of these are not passed. They're only bills that are being deliberated in Congress. So first is the Senate Bill 1698, the Bicycle Act of 2022, which outlines the rights and responsibilities of cyclists, and the creation of a local bikeway office, which ensures the safety of bike lanes, its creation, and the protection of the rights of cyclists, and the support that they may offer in the various services that the bikeway office have. Next is the House Bill 263, which is the Bike Lanes Act of 2016, which mandates the creation of separate bike lanes instead of ones that are drawn in within the existing roads, which is frankly very dangerous and further hinders the well, road readiness of bikes and even the space provided to cars for that matter. The creation of bike parkings to protect the bikes of people that are going to their works and support infrastructure such as creating sheds, bike repair stations, and giving free water or water stations for those that are riding bikes going from work. Lastly is the Senate Bill 1290, the Walkable Bikeable Communities Act, which mandates the creation of safe pathway network of bicycle lanes, walkways, and slow streets within small communities on a national level. Now we ask why weren't these bills passed? First, of course, it is the lack of infrastructure. As mentioned, this has been detrimental to the safety of the people and the efficiency of the road when it comes to multiple ways of transport. The budget for supplementary support, meaning the budget afforded to agencies and offices that can render help to cyclists. Next is the method of enforcement. The MMDA is already spread thin. Uh, who would be able to enforce such policies and clear the lanes and the pathways needed for the bike lanes? So now I propose the Biking Infrastructure and Knowledgeable Execution Act, or the Bike Act of 2023, which aims to incentivize workers to use a bicycle as a main mode of transport for work by granting tax incentives for companies with high cyclist counts. So the more cyclists a company has, the better tax incentives they get. Another aim is to support the shift to a more sustainable way of transport. Uh, because the influx of cyclists will necessitate the creation of infrastructure and safety features. Now, in explaining the spending mechanism that is championed by this policy, so governments will give tax incentives to private companies, and private companies, depending on their policies, would have company benefits will be outlined there given to employees to encourage them to use bicycles. And the increased consumption of employees within the bike industry would then render the bike industry liable for the tax increase that it would incur due to the rise in consumption it has had due to the employees' purchases. Now we ask the various oversight mechanisms that are present here. So mainly, I want to point out the Department of Trade and Industry, the responsibilities to act as an oversight for enforcement of the law, to monitor and collect the timed banking hours of the companies. And next is the budget appropriation. The proper increases would be ensured to conduct data collection and possible research to further the safety of the individuals and the creation of infrastructure. Now we ask ourselves what are the challenges this bill might face in the future. So the conflict of interest maybe in the car and the oil industry, because most of these industries get their income from the purchase of cars and the use of gas, which is counterintuitive of the goals achieved by cycling. Next is again the current lack of viable infrastructure, the creation of which would render a lot of budgetary allocation in order to see it into fruition. Last is assurance of funds spent. So most are not sure if the funds spent by companies towards their incentives to their employees will be managed properly and will actually go towards the use of bicycles. So my recommendation for this is of certain internal policies. As outlined before, the company incentive, which include free lunches, breakfast for those who use bicycles, maybe product discounts, depending on what products your companies push through. The additional vacation days, proportional or disproportionate from their bike hours, and flexible time to be able to give employees ample time to travel to and from work comfortably. Now, to properly account for this, use of time cards in the helpful or the track list, and company bike ride defense would help in influencing most to use bicycles as the main mode of transport, not only within the company but outside. And last is ride to work incentive multiplier, which means that the more people you have riding to you to work, so in a sense, a bike group would incur a certain multiplier that would increase any of the company incentives mentioned before. Not to conclude, I want to include this quote. So, pag gusto, maraming paraan. Pag ayaw, maraming dahilan. Ngayon sa Pilipinas, napakaraming dahilan ang ginagamit natin para hindi gumamit ng mga mas maganda sa kalikasan o mas magandang uri ng transportasyon. Kasi hindi tayo komportable dito kahit hindi pa natin natatry. So, gusto ko lang sana ilathala yung pag-iisip na huwag natin isipin muna yung mga nakasasama at try lang natin gumawa ng isang komunidad kung saan maaari natin ah, talakayin yung mga ganitong issue. In particular dito sa paggamit ng bisikleta papunta sa mga kanya-kanyang trabaho natin. So, huwag tayo gumawa ng napakaraming dahilan upang hindi ito pag-isipan at gawing magandang proyekto, hindi lang para sa sarili-sariling komunidad, pero sa kabuuan ng Pilipinas. Salamat po.